Hi guys, welcome back to Couch
Hi
Critics.
guys, welcome back. We miss you.
We hope you had a wonderful Christmas and
Yes.
we're back with a new video. Today we're reviewing Wonka.
Yes, we're reviewing Wonka, filmed by Paul King
Yeah.
and starring Timothé Chalamet.
Yeah, it's the newest Timothée Chalamet movie and we have a lot to say about it.
Yes,
So, yeah, let's get into it.
let's start. So, should we start by talking about the beginning? How do we start? Okay, we s- we took a break of 2 weeks since last filming. You guys didn't notice it because we pre-filmed a lot of episodes, but I just miss being here and filming. Although
Me too.
okay, I'm trying to remember how this works.
It's gonna take a minute.
It's gonna take a minute, but it's fine.
Mhm.
We got it. So yeah, Wonka the movie. It's a musical, by the way. I did not expect that. Did you expect it?
Trying to remember if I did. I think from the trailer,
Okay,
yes,
I
but I
didn't watch
did
the
not
trailer.
expect that much singing to be in it,
Yeah,
to be
I didn't
honest.
know Timothée could sing, but honestly, he did a good job.
He did.
It wasn't like I don't see him as a singer, but I
Mhm.
feel like in a musical he would manage very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. The costumes were very fun. I think it must have been a very big challenge to fill
Mhm.
in Johnny Depp's shoes and
Yeah.
play his younger role. And from like overall, I think
Mhm.
he did a good job. I was pleasantly surprised with the movie. The actors were amazing, all of them, like
Yeah.
the kids, the older ones, and everything. I always do it, but I kept comparing the movie with different like other movies. Have you
Okay.
watched Matilda?
No, I didn't.
So Matilda is also a very old movie, but in the movie there's like Matilda's teacher at school. She's the villain in that movie, and she reminded me so much of the woman who was in charge of the hotel. It was
Mhm.
the same angles, same smiles, everything. It's so funny, and yeah, Willy Wonka's head reminded me of Mary Poppins, because he
Oh,
has so
yeah,
many things coming out of it,
definitely.
and it felt like Mary Poppins first. So I
Mhm.
think it was very funny. It's a child's movie,
Yeah.
but it's enjoyable even for older people.
Mhm.
Yeah. What did you think about the colors, the angles, the performances?
Okay, so for the colors, I didn't think it was colorful enough
Okay.
for because like again we're talking about Willy Wonka. I expected the movie to be brighter for some reason, but I think that since it is a prequel, the grayness of it makes kind of
Yeah.
sense, like because I think that the version that we had with Johnny Depp was much more colorful,
Yeah.
uh, from what I remember. And again, I've watched it years ago, didn't rewatch it since.
Me too.
But yeah, there was a grayness to the shades of colors that they used with. So yeah, the colors were grayish. I thought it would be brighter, but I'm fine with the choices that they did. It was a musical. I'm not a huge fan of musicals, but I did love this one.
Yeah.
It just made me so happy to watch it, and the music was great. There's this one song that I cannot stop listening to ever since I heard it. It's You've Never Had Chocolate Like
Yes.
This, but the second time that they sing it in the restaurant, and it's such a beautiful song. It
Hmm.
puts you in a great mood. Yeah, and so as I said, just to talk a little bit about what the movie is about, this Wonka movie is basically the prequel to what we saw with Johnny Depp. It's the original story in the beginning of Willy Wonka as a chocolate maker and how he became the chocolate maker that Johnny Depp showed. And so we kind of understand his character better. Yeah, so.
Since you talked about the movie and the prequel, I had a comment to make about the story itself. That's
Mhm.
maybe one of the few things that bothered me in the movie. In the Willy Wonka movie, the original one, there's Johnny Depp. Well, Willy Wonka had this history. His dad was a dentist, and he was
Mhm.
never able to eat chocolate, and this is why he decided to start the chocolate factory. And I think this was such an original idea. And in this movie, they changed Willy's whole past, and
Mhm.
I think this is sad. And I felt like the past that they chose for him was a bit more of a cliche, like, okay, his mom used to make chocolate and then his mom passed away. And
Mhm.
I've kind of grown tired of this Disney narrative of the princess with like a dead mom all
Mhm.
the time, and they keep repeating it. And I felt like it was way more original if his story was about his father being a dentist, and there would have been more room to make something more original. The movie was original
Mhm.
overall, but it just lacked like the continuity wasn't there
Mhm.
because in the other movie the story was completely different and they changed like Willie's whole past, and
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I did not like about this
Mhm.
movie. But yes, I love the comment about the colors. I did not notice it. I Now that you're saying it,
Mhm.
yes, I noticed the colors were not as saturated, they're
Yeah.
more grayish,
Mhm.
but it makes a lot of sense, and I would prefer these kind of colors way more than a black and white movie,
Mhm.
or it having been more saturated and not representing the fact that it's in the past. So yeah.
Also, I just want to make a note. We're comparing Timothy's movie and Johnny Depp's movie just because I think these are the only two that we've watched. But there is another Willy Wonka that came out in the 70s, and
Really?
again, I didn't watch it, but like
Okay.
I've watched a review about it, and apparently he's insane in the movie, and it's a very good one. But we're just not gonna talk about it because we both haven't seen it.
I didn't even know it existed. Oh my god.
Same. I didn't until I've seen a review and
Okay.
they mentioned it, and so
Okay.
yeah.
That's good to know.
I want to talk about what you said about the original story and
Yeah.
like he kind of like his background story. I kind of forgot what they did with the Johnny Depp movie and like how did they justify his past and how and what they said in the movie. But I think that it could make sense that they had two different stories because to me, I'm fine with what they did with both movies, but I feel like there is a link that's missing to make sense of both characters. To me, Willy Wonka and the first and the prequel is this normal person who has this brilliant touch and who's great at something, but he's not crazy. But whereas Johnny Depp's character, he's not crazy either, but you feel like he could snap at you at any minute.
He
You feel like
was
he's
crazy.
dangerous,
Yeah.
yeah, and you don't know if he's a nice guy or a bad guy. So to me, there needs to be a second movie that would show how Timothy's character turned into Johnny Depp's character. And to me, one of them is lying about his past.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I don't know which one. And if I had to make a theory about it, I would say Timothée Chalamet's character is the one who's lying
Yeah.
about his past.
That makes sense because at a certain point, the girl, you know, when they were getting
Mhm.
the giraffe milk, the girl said she cannot trust anybody. And I
Yeah.
really expected Timothy to do something to betray her. So maybe he did lie to her about his past. I like that. It's a good
Also,
conspiracy.
there is this red flag that I've noticed. I've watched the movie twice, and I really paid attention to this detail because the first time I was like, maybe I didn't listen well, or like maybe I just didn't notice. But Timothy's character, Willie, the young Willie, he never said that his mom died. He said she's gone.
What?
He implied that she left, but he never said that she died. And to me, a brilliant person like Willy Wonka would know that his mom died if she really
Hmm.
died. But since he had that hope of like her coming back, I know it's like the story involves a lot of magic, but I don't think he's delusional enough and crazy enough to think that she would come back from the dead. So yeah.
Or maybe he's just in denial, but I like her story better.
Mhm.
It's feels so much more comforting to stop killing the moms of people because I think you can
Yeah.
be something great without having dead parents. Like,
Mhm.
let's stop normalizing that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I do think that in order for both stories to make sense, the one that would happen in the middle would have to be so extreme and so horrific for both of the characters to make sense.
Mhm.
So can someone make a
Can
horror
someone
movie
make
about Willy
a horror
Wonka?
movie? Oh
Maybe
no.
Damien Leon, he did the Terrifier. Watch that at your own risk. So
We
yeah.
don't recommend it.
Don't watch it actually. Yeah. What did you think of Willy Wonka's character overall? Like, what did you think about his passion for chocolate? Like, why is he the way that he is?
Okay, so this question is very nuanced for me because there's so many different
Hmm.
aspects to it. First of all, I loved his optimism
Yeah.
and like his wittiness all the time. I remember at one point it really marked me. I found it so funny because he doesn't know how to read. He
Yeah.
he was arguing about something and he went like, A, we can do that because, and C, we can do this because, and he completely missed the beat. So I think there were a lot of subtle funny thing in the movie, and that was very fun. In terms of Timothee's performance,
Hmm.
something that I just cannot stop talking about is how it was theatrical and cinematographic at the same time.
Hmm.
And from what I know about the difference between theater and movies, is that theaters are always more exaggerated,
Hmm.
because you have an audience sitting far
Yeah.
away. So everything you do it like in big movement so that everybody sees it. But when you're in movies, you try to control more your body movement
Hmm.
so that you don't go out of the frame when you're talking. Like right now, I'm talking with
Yeah.
my hands, but Tim had did this thing like he was theatrical with his movements, but at the same time, it wasn't too much.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's a line that's so hard to walk on because
Hmm.
you want to do both because it's Willy Wonka and there's music and
Hmm.
everything. So you want to be a theater like
Yeah.
person and you want to have a big performance, but at the same time, because it's on camera, you don't want to do it too much.
Hmm.
And he found the perfect balance to do that, and I really liked it. Um, so that's about the character, his humor, the chocolate, the passion for chocolate. I loved how they took something as simple as
Yeah.
chocolate and they turned it into something that's so relatable to the real world. Chocolate became a currency, chocolate became dreams, chocolate became competition. It represented everything,
Hmm.
and it's such a fun way to like they talked about corruption in the
Yeah.
movie through chocolate. Instead of bribing the officer
Yeah.
with money, they brought him with chocolate. And
Hmm.
it's so funny because you could see physically see how he got like bigger because of the bribe. And I think it's it's very symbolic. The fatter he got, the more corrupt he became.
Hmm.
And like we were
Yeah.
able to see the corruption in the physical movie,
Hmm.
and I love that. What about you?
I loved your last comparison
Yeah.
with the bribing and the way that he got fatter every time. Um, I really try to justify to find a justification to the way Willy Wonka acted. To me, what I came up with, again, this is my personal theory on things, but I think that um, I first of all I think that his mom is not dead, and I think I've made that clear by now, and also I feel like his mom was a narcissist. I
Okay.
think he's a product of a narcissistic parent because he did say that he tried every day to come up with something to entertain her, and I feel like he got this impression that whatever he did was not enough. So he always needed to do more and more and more to get his mother's validation. And the chocolate making on itself is just a way for him to get validation. It's not, it's, yes, of course, it's a passion of him, of his, but like, it's not the thing that makes him happy. And we could see that in the way that he acts and reacts to other people. Like when he made new friends, he was always trying to do things from him, and they wouldn't give back as much as what he gave.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like chocolate making was a currency for him. He used it to get validation from other people, to get the love that he seeked from his mom but maybe never got. So I feel like there is a very sad story behind all that chocolate making. And I also feel like he used the making of chocolate. I mean, since he didn't have anyone really that cared for him, chocolate was the only thing that felt like home. And to me, whenever he made his chocolate, he felt home. And so um that was his way of like getting love. But I don't know if the love that he got, the sterile kind of love that he got from making chocolate, was enough and could be compared to the love that he can get from other humans. And um I just find it sad because we could see that even in the last scene when Noodles, his
Yeah.
friend, found her mother, she left, and he was again left with the chocolate, and he was just buying people off with chocolate, but no one, I don't think that anyone cared enough for him, not even his mom. And yeah, that for me would justify him flipping the switch and going completely insane in the other movies. Because I feel like that eternal seeking of validation kind of drove him off a cliff. Because he you can't buy people's love with chocolate no
Yeah.
matter how hard you try, and you can't people or you can't replace like other people, a family, with chocolate making. So yeah, it's his, as he says in the movie, it's his orphan complex maybe. He said,
Yeah.
you know, when he said
Yeah.
it to Noodles.
Noodles.
And I think this is his orphan complex. He's a child who never felt enough, and he tried to be enough for his mom by making chocolate and entertaining her, and that's the way that he gets love, so he used that throughout his life. I'm psychoanalyzing him,
No, but I
but
love
like
this.
he's using that throughout his life to get love and validation, but this is not a normal way to live a life. And so he, since he never got that, he turned into Johnny Depp.
I love how we're like comparing Johnny Depp to insanity. Like that's it.
It's a messy review, but I'm just trying to like make as much sense of him as I
Yeah.
can with like what we got, because I know that it's a very happy movie. But as I said in like many reviews, people are just not, you don't have people who are weird just because they're weird, or
Hmm.
they're killers just because they're killers. There is a switch that has been flipped. There is a silver lining somewhere. There's a reason why people are the way that they are. And from the information that I gathered when I watched the movie, this is what I came up with. Yeah.
I love this. I love the addition to a narcissistic mother because this is definitely something that is not explicitly shown to
Mm-hmm.
us on the surface. But when you say it, now I cannot see the movie any other way. It makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it does because him seeking her approval with chocolate, it makes so much sense because he absolutely wanted to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And the fact that it gave a meaning for his optimism, his like crazy ideas, his he had some, I don't want to say nonchalance or like carelessness,
Mm-hmm.
but he did, and it's not naivety either, but he was doing what he was
Mm-hmm.
doing, and not always he took the outcomes into consideration,
Yeah,
but he didn't take the criticism into consideration. And I
definitely.
also love that message in the movie because
Mm-hmm.
you truly have to be out of your mind to be able to create something
Mm-hmm.
that you know at the moment nobody agrees with, but in the future you know that you have something. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
When you have a vision, like no matter what the people around you like think or what they no matter the obstacles, you're gonna go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a kind of a small amount of carelessness and
Mm-hmm.
of just not caring to be able to pursue with it. So yeah.
Yeah, and it also justifies the way he seeked the approval of others and his mom's love. He had to be so great and so brilliant and so adamant on making his vision work that he had no other choice but to make everything work to get that love that he needed. It was a survival kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and yeah, we did talk about having a vision, and I feel like the movie, this is on the side, but like I feel like the movie is a great reminder of how when you have a unique vision, people try to strip you out of it. And just because it doesn't go with their beliefs, and because it
It
is
doesn't fit the
human
norms.
nature to be reassured uh, of that what you're doing is right by comparing yourself to other people. And yeah, it is a reminder to be very careful about the information that you absorb, and also to be very protective, overly protective of your vision. Yeah.
Yeah. And of what you consume in terms of information and in
Hmm.
terms of just like words that people say. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Hugh Grant?
Yes, the Oompa Loompa.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, first of all, I didn't I remember you sending me a TikTok about him saying he didn't enjoy filming the movie, but in such a funny way. That's what I love about Hugh Grant. He really like
He just doesn't care.
he doesn't care, but it also seems like he's having fun, even if he says he didn't like it. But I feel like him saying he doesn't care made me like the character of the Oompa Loompa even more because the Oompa Loompa is a very despicable character.
He seems just like his character,
Yeah,
actually.
which is so controversial because
Mhm.
he does not look like an Oompa Loompa. But I love them. I loved him. I love the colors, the orange and the green.
Mhm.
Um, I loved his humor. I loved his sarcasm, and I loved how it he went from kind of being the enemy because he was the one eating all the
Mhm.
chocolates, and then he was this kind of enemy that's not really an enemy. It was more
Yeah.
like tough love. He was pushing Willy Wonka further in his
Mhm.
career, and he did help him. He saved his life.
Yeah.
He's someone with very like straight values. Like I don't like you because you stole my chocolate. As soon as you pay me back, we're fine. And he's straightforward. He's honest. So yeah, it's such a funny character.
Mhm.
What about you?
I really liked him. I've watched a few interviews of him
Yeah.
before watching the movie, and I expected him to have much more screen presence
Mm-hmm.
because he's in every interview with Timothée
Yeah.
Chalamet, but he had enough screen presence during the movie, but I don't know, I expected a little bit more. He was really funny, but I felt like I was watching Hugh Grant being Hugh Grant. But other than that, I feel like everyone in the movie was having fun being there. And the way I measure that is whenever I find myself wishing to be one of the background actors, that's why I know like people had fun shooting that movie
Yeah.
because like the costumes, the dancings, just being in that set and watching the decor, it must have been so much fun.
Watching them dance and sing, I would
Yeah,
have paid to be in that movie, to be a
same. I
background.
would
Just
have
it's
done
like a
it for
performance, it's a
free.
concert.
Also, about Timothy's performance, I think this was his best performance so far. I've watched all of his movies, the one that he did before, and I feel like, just like what we said about Paul Mescal when we did our After Sun review, he's the kind of actor who falls into, I, it's almost like a trap of like doing a very slightly different variation of the same role. Like he's he's doing the same kind of characters in like all of his latest movies. I'm referring to, like almost all of them. Lady Birds, Bone and all, like even Dune. He's always doing a lot of inside acting, which is great. He's doing a lot of these characters because he's perfect at them. He's
Yeah.
brilliant. But I don't know if you watched his high school theater musical videos.
I watched a part of it, I
Yeah.
think, that went viral at some
But
point.
I've always thought that he would be so good in a musical or in like a comedy. He has this thing, and when I saw him in Wonka, I was like, he belongs here because he's perfect at it. It was his moment, like
Yeah.
to just like show off all of his theatrical skills, and he has a lot of theatrical
Yeah.
skills. Yeah,
That's the first thing you said to me, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I have to watch it. The first message Lamia told me after watching the movie is it's he's a theater kid who just wanted to show it that he was a
yeah. That
theater
he went to
kid.
theater
Yeah,
school,
exactly. Yeah.
and he did.
Yeah. I like that. I like yes, he is changing. It's a very
Mm,
different role he did in
yeah,
that movie. That you mentioned it, I do
mm,
see the resemblance in his different roles like in June and Lady Bird.
yeah,
I feel like Call Me by Your Name is a bit different, but this movie is completely different.
yeah.
And I love that about the actors who have this kind of versatile career
Mm,
because that's the fun part about being an actor. It's being to able to do and be many
yeah,
things in one lifestyle, and he's just starting out. His career is still in front of him, so
yeah,
he's going to have, I think, and I hope for him,
mhm,
a lot more opportunities to play different roles and to
mhm,
be like even more different people in his
yeah,
movies. And that was a good icebreaker, not icebreaker, but like a breaker for his
mhm.
like typical character cast. But yeah, that's a good point.
What's your favorite Timothée Chalamet movie?
Ooh, that's I didn't finish. Lady Bird, I don't think he had like a big role in it, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that. I didn't finish June. I tried to start it. I couldn't finish it. I don't know. Maybe it's
Mm. It's not
I
for everyone.
no, it's not
No.
for everyone. I wasn't really I don't know. It just I would probably try to watch it again, but
Mhm.
when I watched it, I wasn't like feeling it. Call Me by Your Name. I feel
Okay.
not just because it's Timothée Chalamet, but because the movie in general, it's such a good movie. It's such a weird movie sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's a challenging movie. And to think that that's the movie that launched his career, it's I don't know. It I think it would be my favorite of
Mhm.
his. But yeah, I want to watch also Little Women, but I know
Okay.
he's there, and I know it's Meryl Streep as well.
Mhm.
So maybe I don't know. But from what I've watched, I would say Call Me by Your Name. I feel like it's the indie OG like movie for cinephile. I don't know, but yeah. What about
Cool.
you? Favorite Timothée Chalamet movie?
I like this really random movie that he did, and I feel like no one ever watched it. It's called Hot Summer Nights,
Ooh,
and it's such a cool movie.
okay.
I also love My Beautiful Boy with Steve Carell from The Office.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
he
that
plays an addict, and I loved reading the book. It's such an emotional and heavy movie,
okay.
and yeah, he plays a drug addict,
Tim or
Tim,
Steve? Okay,
and his father's trying to get him to get better, and
that's such a
Steve
good
plays
cast.
his father. Yeah, I
Okay, I
think
want
it's
to
on
watch that.
Amazon. You should watch
All
it.
right, I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your favorite Wonka song, if you remember any?
I like the one I don't really exactly remember the names, but I like the one where he was in the mall, the first one, and he took off this hat and like
Mhm.
people start flying. I think it was before the people start flying, but I love that he was singing and then we see him like from in his
Yeah.
world he's singing and the world is colorful and
Mhm.
everybody's being his backup dancer and then you see a scene from outside and he's just dancing by himself
Yeah.
like randomly. I think that was my favorite one. You said it was Have You Never
It's
Had
the
Chocolate?
same song,
Yeah.
but like he sings it twice.
Okay.
He sings it the first time, the one that you described, and the
Yeah.
second time is when he's trying to escape the police officers and
Okay.
while trying to sell his chocolate. I
Yeah.
like the second version, and I also like Scrub It.
We
Yeah,
Scrub It. Yeah, Scrub It
yeah.
was good. Yeah.
I just say it's such a nice playlist to listen to. Like it's such a cool.
It's such a random fun songs.
Yeah, I also want to point out something. I was telling Ruby earlier how my mom was heavily judging me about really liking this movie because she's the one who watched it with me when I first saw it, and our screening was filled with kids. And after watching the movie, she was like, "Lamia, like you were laughing along with the kids. Like I'm asking myself questions about your health. Like it's a sense of humor that's aimed primarily towards kids, and I don't agree with that. I feel like what's his name, King Arthur King,
Yeah. Paul King,
Paul
the
King,
director.
the
Yeah.
director. He's so brilliant because he was able to target such a wide audience,
Audience.
and it's almost impossible to do that because this is why we have genres, because different movies are made for different audiences, and to be able to make people from different ages, like you go from like 3 years old to like I'm 25 years old, and I'm like crying my eyes out because like some scenes were very sad, and like I'm laughing out loud because some scenes were very funny. Like it just goes to show how great this director is,
Yeah.
and it all feels very light
Mm-hmm.
and very subtle, like nothing is heavy, and it just goes to shows how even the actors, like everyone knew what they were doing, and
Yeah.
there was such a huge level of perfection and professionalism, and yeah, it's so beautiful.
I think these movies are genius because they encourage parents to watch things with their kids.
Yeah.
And it's not like, okay, we're watching our kids' movies. No, we're
Mm.
enjoying the movies with the kids. And
Yeah.
that's so brilliant. I love that.
Who do you think should make the next Willy Wonka movie?
Ooh, that is such a good question. Oh my
And
God.
who do you think should play Willy Wonka?
Then in the next movie,
Yeah.
oh my God. Oh my God, that's I'm gonna need to think out loud, okay?
Yeah.
Because okay, now we saw Willy Wonka, it's all over the place. Okay, so I watched Poor Things
Mm.
yesterday. It's a
Yeah.
crazy movie, doesn't really fit the Willy Wonka genre, but the colors of the movie, they really fit. Like I saw the colors at some point, the sky was purple and it's
Hmm.
like it looks surreal. So I would like that director. I don't know who the director of that movie was. I really should Google it because
Hmm.
this movie disturbed me a little. But I think that director could play in that movie. Also, okay, there's three options. Either him or Greta. I think Greta from
Correct.
yeah, Greta Gerwig would do such a good job because she did Barbie and kind of fits the same
Hmm.
vibe. And I would love to see Willy Wonka being filmed because I feel like the next movie would be in the factory.
Hmm.
So it would be fun to see the set design of that and like the
Yeah.
plastic that goes behind it, like Barbie, just like seeing the whole house and factory and everything. Or, and this is very random, but I'm thinking Damien Chazelle because of Babylon.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was a giraffe and the elephant. This is like the link that I'm doing in my head to choose Damien Chazelle. But yeah, I think maybe he would find like a way to add the elephants in the chocolate making process and
And also, I feel
yeah.
like Damien Chazelle would make it a musical too.
Right,
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, the playlist would be really good. I
Yeah.
feel if he works on that. Now I remembered I wanted to say earlier after watching that movie,
Mm.
I was craving chocolate.
Oh, me
I just wanted
too.
to eat
Oh my God,
chocolate.
me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Okay, who do you think would be a good director?
Okay, I have like a very different like
Ooh. Well, you wanted
suggestions.
to turn it into a horror movie the
I
next
want
one,
a
so
thriller. I want a horror movie. I want Wonka to do something so extreme that he would spend the rest of his life, which is the other movie with Johnny
yeah.
Depp, trying to fall back into the shadow of who he was, which is Timothée Chalamet,
Hmm.
or trying to escape who he currently is, which is Johnny Depp.
Okay.
And so I feel like we need like in order to do that it takes someone who's willing to take a lot of risks because it's a character who's already built and who already has a big audience. So if you can't really mess with it unless you're doing something that you're sure is going to work.
Yeah.
So my first suggestion is the most extreme, and it's Damien Leon, and he's my favorite horror movie director of all time. He's so extreme, and he just like you have to be prepared, and you probably will need therapy to erase what you watched. But I just want him to make the next Willy Wonka movie. If I have to choose a softer like choice, I would say Emerald Fennel.
Fennel.
I'm fine if she makes something like Saltburn
Oh my god. I think
featuring Willy Wonka. I think that she would make something that would be creepy and that would highlight the weirdness about Wonka, but who wouldn't like offend too many people. My last suggestion would be Baz Luhrmann because I feel like he would make a musical too, but it
yes.
would be so wild and colorful and theatrical that it would like just make everyone happy and yeah, it would be like the new Great Gatsby.
Okay, and note on that if Emerald Fennel does the next Willy Wonka movie, I'm either gonna spend my whole life eating chocolate or I'm never gonna touch chocolate ever again. Like it can only go two ways.
Yeah.
Also, now that you mentioned her, I think I know who the next possible actors could be, and I'm just naming them because
Mhm.
they're up and coming actors and they're young
True.
and they do fit the cast. I would say either Jacob Elordi or Austin Butler because I see
Mm.
them like I see them in Elvis and the black hair and the dark hair, and I think that could be similar to Wonka. Also, Jacob Elordi mostly just because of his face shape, like him and Timothy and Johnny Depp. I think they have the same jawline, they have the same hair.
Mhm.
They could fit in that role. I think it would be so fun to see Jacob in that because we've seen him
Mhm.
as the bad guy, we've seen him as the nice guy. I want to see him as like the creepy, like just messed up guy.
You have to
And
watch Euphoria. You can
yeah,
see that in
okay,
Euphoria.
fine.
He's not as creepy as Willy Wonka, but he plays a very bad guy.
Okay.
I think both suggestions are. I don't know if it's because of their previous movies, but I find them too calm. Austin Butler and
Mhm.
Jacob Elordi. I want someone who's hectic and
That's the challenging
nervous.
part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be interesting to see the
Yeah.
transition. But I'm thinking of. I don't know if you've watched it. It's based off the
No,
Stephen King horror
it's a horror
book.
movie. No, no, no.
Yeah, the guy who played the clown. He does a lot of horror movies.
Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, Bill. I want Bill to do the next, to be the next Willy Wonka.
What about the Joker from Suicide Squad? What's his name?
Jared Leto.
Yeah,
Um, that could work, but I again, these are easy choices because you
yeah,
could already imagine them doing
yeah,
that. Whereas what you choose, like the actors that you choose, we can't really picture them doing that, which is a nice challenge. And like
yeah,
now, I'm curious to see Austin Butler play a villain. Yeah.
yeah. Or like play someone who's,
Mhm.
because I feel like Willy Wonka is the mix of the villain. Like I remember in the first movie, like
Mhm.
the one when played with Johnny Depp, he seems like this nice, happy person, but at
Mhm.
the same time, it's very manipulative and
Yeah.
he's very, I want to say sadistic because he's causing people all this pain and he just doesn't care about it. And he's like, oh well, this happened, and he turned purple, he disappeared. It's fine, they were
Yeah.
eaten by I don't know what. So I think that's the fun part about it because
Mhm.
it's just so twisted and so
Mhm.
mixed. So yeah,
Yeah. Willy Wonka, everyone.
Willy
Go
Wonka,
watch it
go
and
watch
form
it
your own opinion about it and
and
tell us which one you liked better.
leave a comment below giving us your opinion. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching and Happy New Year in
Happy New Year.
advance. Where this is going to be out on the 31st.
Yes,
So, Happy New Year in advance.
yes, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next year and next week. Basically the same
Next
thing.
Sunday.
Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.